It's easier to criticize the Indian real estate and housing market, but what is not easy is to suggest the possible solutions. Last month with my video, I had asked the public at large to suggest the kind of reforms that they wish to see in the Indian real estate. We had subsequently conducted a public survey on Indian housing market where we wanted to know what are the kind of solutions that the Indians want to see in real estate. To what extent they have got the understanding of the ground realities and grey zones of Indian housing market. I am Ravi Sinha and you are watching Track to Realty. Our survey findings are really interesting as it clearly suggests that the awareness of home buyers is not an issue, especially among those who have been victims. They have an opinion, but they have not been heard and they don't get a sounding board. By and large, the Indian home buyers do understand what is wrong with the business and, more importantly, why it has been allowed to remain so. For instance, the average Indians do understand that RERA is a weak piece of legislation. That's not all. They also understand why RERA has been deliberately introduced as a weak piece of legislation where the builders can get away with their unprofessional conduct. The responses were extremely critical and hence we can't put all those comments and suggestions in public domain. But what comes as a relief is the fact that the home buyers have a clear understanding as to why RERA has been instituted as a weak body, full of bureaucratic members and whose purpose they are serving. Let's examine the top 10 most popular suggestions of home buyers for real estate reforms and also try to analyze whether these suggestions are feasible. First, capping house price. Indians demand that there should be price cap on housing and concept of MRP, maximum retail price, should be introduced with a product of basic need like a house. Some of the audience even went to the extent of demanding houses to be treated as a sort of essential services. They feel free market economy does not mean price elasticity, where property is used to park the money of super rich and a heaven for black money. MRP should be as per the circle rate and category, and this would phase out non-serious players who launch exorbitantly expensive houses to help black money being parked in such projects. Is this feasible? Unfortunately, no. But some measures could definitely be taken, like providing public rental housing and rent control mechanism that could ease the burden of urban migrants who come to the cities for jobs. This could automatically balance the house price index as there can't be too high gap between rent and house price. Second suggestion, entry barrier in real estate. The home buyers demand some sort of entry barrier in real estate business where any chai wala, pan wala, doodh wala is not allowed to become a builder overnight. They suggest the lack of entry barrier is allowing all fly-by-night operators into real estate business, and they are responsible for not only stuck-up projects and delayed projects but also price cartelization. They also demand that a defaulter builder should be barred from launching a new project. Is this feasible? Yes. To a large extent, yes. Sort of disincentive for a non-serious developer, even if not a straight entry barrier. There has to be some mechanism of check and balance for a new entrant into real estate business. It can't be a free-for-all business. Moreover, Debarring a defaulter builder and not granting a new license till he clears his old stuck up or delayed project is a viable solution. Unfortunately, real estate is a state subject, and developers often launch projects in some other parts of the country after being declared a defaulter in one given location. But this is a doable matrix, and some centralized monitoring committee could be set up for the purpose. The question is whether this will happen. Well, I would prefer to be silent. We all know the answer. Third suggestion, build and sell model needed. One of the oft repeated demands of Indians is to not allow the builders to sell the housing project before it is ready. This sell and build model has been a real bone of contention between the builders and the buyers. Delay in delivery, mismatch in promise and performance, and many other issues are there because you sell a promise and not a product, right? So Indians want to have a law where a builder can only sell a ready product. Is this feasible? It's not that build and sell is not feasible, and arguments of real estate being a capital intensive business is also flawed. But the policymakers don't seem to be interested in this kind of real estate reform. It is highly unlikely that build and sell model will ever be a reality in India. Suggestion number 4, monitoring committee for housing. When a real estate project is stuck up, the entire government machinery and judiciary get into action. RERA also does its own level of lip service. But the Indian home buyers question why the system wakes up when the crime has already been committed, and why not work towards crime prevention. The Indians suggest a private real estate development should not be left to the whims and fancies of the builders, and there must be a monitoring committee of all the concerned authorities who sanction a project at various levels, and there must be periodic review of the progress of the project. Any deviation or default should be checked at the first level only. Is this feasible? Very much. This is how it should be. But the question is not about the feasibility, but the intent of the policy makers to reform the sector. More importantly, we need a very efficient administrative machinery to make any monitoring committee really be effective. Suggestion number 5, fix the accountability. The Indian home buyers strongly demand to fix accountability of all the government agencies and concerned parties who are partners in crime with the builders. This includes officials who sanction the project, RERA officials who are supposed to monitor the project progress, and banks that finance the project. Indians assert that they are the ones who are custodians of due diligence, and they must be held liable for defaults or for closing their eyes with the defaults. Indians specifically point out the need for reform in government development agencies to make them accountable, as they are seen more to help builders and not home buyers. Is this feasible? If only there is some level of accountability on part of the government, then only one can expect accountability on part of the government machinery and officials. So this idea may be an ideal solution, but does not seem to be a reality in Indian context. Suggestion number 6, RERA with judicial powers. The Indian home buyers are very critical of RERA and its functioning. They believe RERA has been brought in only as a facade of reforms, but the intent is missing. They demand RERA to be given more judicial powers and RERA members to be retired judges and not retired bureaucrats. They also demand RERA to be treated like NCDRC, National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, and where its orders could only be challenged before the Supreme Court. Is this feasible? It is highly unlikely that RERA Act would be amended in the foreseeable future. Not that it can't be done, but it won't be done. After all, RERA is protecting the interests of many, but not the home buyers, the way it should. Suggestion number 7. Fair contracts. Indians wish they get the fair contracts in home buying where builder-buyer agreements are not exploitative, where builder-buyer agreement is not handed over to them only after making 10% booking amount. There should be mandate to give the draft in writing prior to payments, a kind of system where the buyer does not have the fear of losing his 10% if he is not satisfied with the builder-buyer agreement or any other builder's agreements or clauses. Is this feasible? Yes. And even the Supreme Court of India has asked for uniform builder-buyer agreement in real estate. But the government is yet to act upon it. Why? No one knows, but everyone understands why. In future, maybe some modality would emerge, if not a foolproof fair contract for the home buyers. Suggestion number 8. Fast track courts. Okay, so real estate disputes can't be avoided, keeping in mind the nature of the business and the business model of sell and build. But what adds insult to the injury of the home buyers is the costly and lengthy litigation, a fact admitted by even the Supreme Court of India. The home buyers hence demand fast track courts in real estate. All property related disputes must be settled in a time bound manner, where builder is not able to harass the buyers with multiple litigations that are lengthy and costly. Is this feasible? Not a rocket science, but the ground realities of India suggest otherwise. It's not even among the agenda of the policy makers. Suggestion number 9. No GST on under construction. The home buyers demand rollback of GST in under construction properties. They question the rationale of GST in under construction properties that is not applicable with ready to move properties. They question how come real estate falls into goods and services during the construction phase and ceases to be so once it is ready. They even question whether the government wants to discourage under construction properties, and if so, the policy makers should openly say this. Under construction properties are risky and an average buyer opts for that only to get it cheaper, but the GST only adds to the cost and then it is not so cheap. Is this feasible? Why not? But then in a country where the stationery of school kids and medical insurance attracts the GST slab of luxury items, that is 18%, the list said is better. The government has probably done a favor by imposing only 5% GST on under construction houses and would have easily perceived home buying to be a luxury and to be a sin item to be taxed at the rate of 28%. Suggestion number 10. Mandatory exit of builder post possession. The home buyers demand mandatory exit of builders from the project once it is ready, and builders should not be allowed to make money through his own proxy facility management company. This has been a major bone of contention among the builders and buyers in many parts of the country, most notably in Delhi NCR markets, where builders use all means, fair and foul, to keep making exorbitant amount of money post possession. Is this feasible? It's the easiest reform measure being suggested and demanded by the home buyers. Unfortunately, the policymakers are more importantly the administrative machinery tacitly helps the builders. The courts, anyways, are known for lengthy and costly litigation if the builder does not wish to leave the creamy business of monthly maintenance. In conclusion, well, barring only one reform being suggested by the home buyers, like price capping, all these demands of home buyers are not only doable but could also change the face of Indian real estate. But the larger question is whether there is any intent to do so. Well, I leave it to you to guess and comment. Thanks for watching.